YouTube link is in my bio. I'm about to go live right now on YouTube. It's time for Friday Night Vigil. Today we're talking about romance. Romance, people. Boom, 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 boom. Head over to the YouTube right now. The link is in the bio. We're about to get started. Welcome to Friday Night Vigil. Welcome to Friday Night Vigil on YouTube, going live right about now. Creating a whole new late night vibe. It's free flow right now. Tell somebody to tell somebody. We're about to go live right now on YouTube. The countdown has begun. Friday Night Vigil, let's go. We're talking about romance today. Alright, let's get situated, let's get set up. The link is in my bio. Countdown has begun, going live on YouTube right now to start Friday Night Vigil. Go to my profile, click the link in my bio, and it'll take you to the live stream of this. The countdown has begun, we're going live on YouTube now. Friday Night Vigil is the vibe. Thank you to everybody clicking in on the YouTube right now. Have a good one this evening, man. Friday Night Vigil, let's go. We're getting started now.
Yeah. Is it alright if we kick back? Yeah. Is it alright if we lay back? Tell me if you got time, we can take that, lay back. Or we can take two, spending more time while we're exchanging truths. I know there ain't time.
Welcome to Friday Night Vigil.
Can we exist in sync, be mature and resist? Nah, really sweetie, I only speak truth. They call me Miss More time cause it's true. I miss the old days, I miss the old me. I miss not missing anything, that's the key. Let it all flow, let it all fly. Don't follow fashion, follow your passions inside. Sing it, girl, yeah.
Sometimes I feel lost in this mission called life. Yeah. And I know sometimes I ain't living right, but it's alright. It's alright. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay.
Some days I gotta lay back, kick back and sit back with my hair all back. And I don't care if it's nappy plaits, I'm a nappy queen, damn bad.
Shout out to I Know More on this joint right here.
La 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 la, all day with my king. But we still find time to hunt in the forest, clothed in nothing but at least dishonest. Who can say that? They vow to be true, this is real, being real's what we do. I do this, even when it's ugly. And yeah, sometimes it's ugly, sometimes I'm weird. Sometimes I wanna shut it out and not care. And sometimes I wanna disappear. And sometimes I wish I could appear on a cloud. And sometimes I wish I weren't around. And yo, sometimes
I feel lost in this mission called life. Yeah. And I know sometimes I ain't living right, but it's alright. It's alright. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay back.
Yo. We are back. It is Friday Night Vigil. We're up. It's just past 11 p.m. I see you guys on the live rolling with me. Send something in the chat just to let me know you're here right now. Smash the like button. I don't know. Why did YouTubers start saying smash the like button? I don't even know why, but I feel like I've picked that up. Press the like button gently. You can press the dislike button if that's how you feel. But engage with me. Hit me up in the chat. Let me know what's going on. Share the link with somebody. Send the link to somebody right now. Let them know that we're about to do Friday Night Vigil. We're about to get into some topics. We're about to take some calls. We're about to do some interaction. I'm proud of me for still being here, for figuring out bit by bit this new stuff. I feel like I'm accelerating my growth in this whole content creation thing because I ran away from it for so long. But every day I'm just trying to learn how to do this a little better, how to light it a little better, how to make the show more smooth and well put together. The content is still a bit free float, but as long as I got you lot here, as long as you rocking with me, as long as I'm putting the effort in, I know for a fact it's gonna continue being a vibe. We're gonna continue popping off. It's a late night on a Friday, man. And we're growing as we go. We grow as we go. And as we go, we grow. Every week I said I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna add something to improve the show. This week I have added an extra light behind the TV to give that two-tone effect. I have also got myself some sound effects. And what better way to congratulate myself than to introduce you to the first one. Yeah, so did Ola really go and download a real sound from one of his live shows in which people were cheering him on, make an MP3 out of it and add it to this show so he can press it whenever he wants? Yes, that's exactly what Ola did. Ola did that. And Ola is proud of himself for doing that. In fact, Ola's going to applaud himself one more time. Yeah, I got sound effects now. I got another one there, but I'll drop it at the appropriate time. I'm just gonna play my whole hand. I'm not seeing anything in the chat from you guys. What's going on? Hey, thank you, Michael. I just seen your comment right now. I appreciate you. Thank you. Love the sound effects. Love you too, bro. Have to appreciate what we did out here. It's Kaizen approach, man. We're making small changes every week, getting better and better, getting better and better. I can't just get in better one time. I gotta get better and better and better. You know? All right. If you're on the Instagram at this point, that's on you. All right. We're looking off the Instagram, but actually no, leave it running. Why not? At least when people jump in, they can see to come over to the YouTube to get the full experience. Because YouTube is where it's really popping off. It's popping off heavy. Hey, Bobby Wande said the set is looking seductive, bro. Okay. It's kind of seductive. I'm not gonna lie though. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I can't lie. When I put this together and I've got it on the screen in front of me, I want to look at it, and I'm like, that's what lets me know that I'm on the right track towards it looking how I want it to look. But like a big part of this is the fact that I actually enjoy watching myself on the screen. That's a problem, and I'm slowly moving down towards a narcissistic disorder when I'm cheering myself on and watching myself on screen. However, I'm an entertainer, so it doesn't count. Let's go. Let's get into it today. You know what, man? Michael Adama, you get it. I want to thank myself for always being me. Bro, we trying to create better and better content every day. All right. This week, I've been pondering on a few things, right? Uh, Number one was the brief news that Kanye West is the richest black man to have ever lived in America, and that he was supposedly worth $6.6 billion. Now, that's also been disputed, but that's not the point. The point was this was after divorce. Now, I don't know what kind of agreement they've got. I don't know about their marriage. I can't speak on that specifically. But I think whenever I hear divorces, I'll be upfront about where I'm coming from in life. My parents got divorced when I was fairly young. So I think maybe I always have somewhat of an emotional response to divorces. I find it very hard to relish in a divorce. I see a broken home for the kids. I see dispersed wealth and opportunity. I see a love that once was no longer. Um, and it never quite it's never just quite a bit of banter or some gossip for me. It's always like a sad thing. Um, Last week I also posted this post from it was from her Insta story. It was this woman. I think she's from South Africa, and she was answering questions. And someone had asked her, "How did you make your first million?" And she said, "By divorce." Now, apart from how I feel about how a lot of these divorce settlements go and whatnot, I was just like, that's really, really sad. Because somebody's gonna look at that and be like, well, she became a millionaire. But I'm like, all right, fine, cool, okay, money is fantastic. But the rate at which we are unable to hold marriages together in this generation is sad. And I think as much as people postulate and try and pretend that they don't really care, I think that's a defense mechanism for the fact that they really do care, but the pain is too much. Just my own opinion. And that's what's been leading me, I think, on many an occasion to talk about training up husbands. Um, I can give you theory on wifehood, but I can't give you practicality on that. Husbandhood, yes. Now, sometimes I feel like a fraud. Let me be honest with you guys. I want to talk to you about husbandhood. and I just finished being very, very irritated with my wife. It doesn't feel like I'm necessarily in a good position to be telling anybody about the merits of marriage. However, what I also do know is that my own temporary circumstance doesn't negate how I actually feel about the institution of marriage and how I feel about men and women getting together. So, I still press on and I still fly the flag for marriage and for husbands, but understand that I'm not saying this from a place of everything is fantastic and everything is easy. Far from it. Which also lets me understand, how people get divorced, even though I don't particularly want it to happen. So I also heard, well, I started seeing these clips of a guy named Justin. I follow him on Instagram. Justin LeBoy, I think is his Instagram handle, and his hashtag is respectfully, and he has this show, um, and he was interviewing the rapper Saweetie, and she was with another rapper Quavo, and I know a lot of people were kind of. She was on the show, and they were asking a bunch of sexual questions and whatnot. And there was some kind of discussion about like, how can your girl be on here just talking so freely about some very private matters. And then there was some speculation about them unfollowing each other. Maybe they've broken up. Now, for me, I don't particularly get into all the gossip of it, but I look at the issues that are underlying. So for me, the issue that's underlying here is that not too long ago, when he was buying her Birkin bags, they were couple goals in the general social media sphere. And for whatever reason, if they have broken up, it makes me really start to wonder, what's the point in all of this? If one day you can be buying somebody extremely expensive bags, and the next minute you don't want anything to do with them, what's the point? What's the nature of this? Now, I know there's a lot of broke shaming out there with the price of the bag and buying Birkins and blah, blah, blah. But I think the real issue, or what was really sitting on my heart or sitting on my mind, let me say mind, is the nature of romance. The nature of romance. And that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. In this opening monologue of mine, my thoughts on romance have it kind of came impromptu from when I was on a live. I was talking to someone about marriage or whatever it is. And I've been doing quite a few of these lives. It just seems to naturally keep coming my way, this whole marriage thing and relationships, and I'm enjoying it, let me not lie. So I was talking about the nature of romance. And I'd love to hear your opinions on this, by the way. So if you would like to call in, the Zoom link should be in the chat box. You can click the Zoom link, and basically, we can get you on for a call. You need to turn your camera on, and yeah, we can definitely do some calls. All right. For me, in my opinion, romance is the art of overpaying. Romance is the art of paying too much. Romance is essentially saying to the person, I could do this much for you and it would be perfectly fine. Yet I still choose to do more. I hope that's coming across clear. I'm saying essentially, I'll start putting it in some real terms. When a husband takes his wife out to a fancy restaurant. He could have picked up some food on the way home, and it would serve the same practical purpose of putting food in her belly. He could have taken her to a mid range restaurant. He could have taken her to a cheap restaurant. But what he's trying to communicate in taking her to a fancy restaurant is that even though you've already committed to me, even though you're already mine, I'm still choosing to do more than I need to. And when women say they want to be chased or want to be pursued, even after marriage, that all the things you did in order to get them are what you should do to keep them. What they're saying is, I want you to continue to overpay. I want you to continue to look at me and say, look, I could pay £5 for you, but I'm choosing to pay 10. It's a tough concept. It's a tough concept. I tell you what, because the same root of it, the same root of this romance we're talking about, I believe is the same root as the love of Christ in the Bible. When you see Jesus Christ come and pay with his life for other people's sins, he's saying, look, you guys have done the most terrible things. And if you were to get what you deserve, it would be this. But I am choosing to do more. I'm not holding you to what you deserve. And I think that's everybody's secret fantasy, to get more than they deserve. And what you're looking for a lot of the time when you're looking for romance or romantic love is for somebody to overpay for you, somebody to overvalue you. Good evening, Chidima. Now, what does that mean in real life? Why am I saying all of this? The reason why you need to understand that romance is overpaying is because you need to know what the original value was. If you understand it in biblical terms, I'll bring back to the biblical thing. If you understand why the Bible gives the law, first of all, it's so that you could realize how wrong you are, so you can appreciate the sacrifice of Christ coming down the line. So when you read all that stuff in the first part of the Bible, you're like, oh, no one can ever live up to this. You'd have to be perfect to do all of this. That's the point. It's to show you how much you mess up. Now you know your correct standing. When somebody comes and says, I'm willing to die for you, then your heart is supposed to be glad, and you're actually supposed to appreciate it because you understand that they are overpaying. In the same way, when you are with somebody, there's what you expect as this is fine, this is good, this is okay, and then there is doing more. Now, I know a lot of my sisters complain that there's no romance today, but you killed it. You've killed it. And a lot of women, a lot of guys as well, but a lot of women kill it for themselves. They don't even realize it. I'm going to explain why in a bit, but at this point, I want to shout out a few people in the chat. Shout out to Mr. Aslam, I see you right there. Don't your own experiences make you better placed to discuss the merits of marriage? Facts. Yes, they do. They do. But I'm very clear on my agenda is to encourage young men and to try and equip some young men with some of the wisdom or the skills or the experience that I have. And I guess I just know that when I'm telling you about some of the downsides, it can put you off. I will still tell you about them, but I'm just very aware of the effect that has. Since you can discuss both the positive and negatives, how it's not always smooth sailing. Exactly. Facts. And it's very important to show both sides. I do agree. But also, I like to give some context so that at least, you're not just handed a bunch of horror stories. I feel like sisters get around to tell each other horror stories, but for some reason they still want to get married. Most of them anyway. Less and less so, actually, I guess. But brothers definitely hear a lot of horror stories about guys getting divorced and getting cleaned out. They hear horror stories about how all the sex dries up and how your wife is just gonna let herself go. Um, and it's just a depressing outlook. Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that. Like I said, good evening, Chidinma. I see you, sis. Anyone else who's in the chat, just say hello. I'll give you a little shout out on the stream. All right. Now I asked on my story, tell me the most romantic thing you've done for somebody or had done for you. I'm gonna read the best four that came in. The best four responses to that request. The first one is the longest. I'm gonna start with that one. I took my ex to Nobu Shoreditch for her birthday, where we had a great meal. We went to a Ghanaian high life party, in brackets she'd never been before. We stayed in a luxury room in the hotel, and the morning of her birthday, I got her a Vitae London watch, luxury Miller Scherzo perfume, and AirPods, along with a luxury birthday cake. I've taken her to an all expenses paid luxury spa holiday to Budapest. The next one. Someone flew across the world to visit me after only 4 days. It was his first overseas trip. Next one. Our first date, he drove me from Nice to Monaco and Italy. He took me to iconic sites. We didn't sleep a wink. He had enough money for petrol and McDonald's with a car view of the hills. And the last one says, they saved me all their red Skittles and Starbursts. My heart melted. All of those are fantastic. All of them have the same thing in common that I was trying to tell you, is that they're all doing more than they need to. And that's what makes it romantic. You see, the idea is that when the first one is talking about giving all of these gifts and doing all of these things, the idea is that he could have done half of that and it still would have been nice. Someone flew across the world to visit me after only 4 dates. It was his first overseas trip. That means I would never expect you to fly across the world to see me. But you did. That's why it's romantic. First date, he drove me from Nice to Monaco in Italy. This guy is literally doing the most. He's driving her between countries on a date. And the effort and the McDonald's and the hill, all of that comes together to spell romance. And lastly, saving all the red Skittles. That one, I was like, that's a marriage proposal right there. The red Skittles and Starburst? Nah, this brother wants to marry you. Now, first thing we need to point out about those answers. 2 of them were men, 2 of them were women. Can you guess which ones were the men? Can you guess which ones were the women? Actually, no. In the end, I selected 3 women, 1 man. 3 women, 1 man. One of them's a guy. Bear in mind, the post said, what's the most romantic thing you've had done for you or you've done for someone else? And it's like naturally we fall into our spot. We fall into our roles. The man tells me the most romantic thing he's done. And my sisters tell me the most romantic thing they've received. Which goes to show you there's something about romance, and ask most guys about what Valentine's Day and all these other depictions of romance look like. That romance is essentially about women. We can't get away from it. That romance in its in for the most part is a one-way transaction. Romance is flowing unilaterally in most cases. Now, we could have a whole discussion on what romance looks like for men in general, what your individual guy likes, and blah, blah, blah. But I want to investigate this a bit more. If romance tends to be for women, why? And why is it so hard for my sisters to find it today? This is set up the stage as to why I'm addressing the sisters here. I'm addressing you because a lot of you have killed romance for yourself. The reason why I say that is because for you to know whether somebody's being romantic towards you, you need to have an accurate picture of what you deserve. And that's where my sisters are falling down today. My sisters are falling down because they refuse to get an accurate picture of what they deserve. What we usually find is a discussion of extremes. So you have sisters who believe that they don't even deserve the basic minimum respect of a human being. They don't deserve to not be hit, to not be abused, or whatever it is. They're walked all over. They take pithy gestures as huge moves of romance because their value in their mind is so low that anything above here must be romantic. I don't deserve anything. But what's today's real phenomenon? Today's real phenomenon is the overvaluation. Oh my goodness, we have to get into it. The reason why a lot of my sisters will not experience romance in this lifetime is because regardless of what you do for them, they believe they already deserved it. You can't be romantic to somebody who deserves the world. Because everything you give them is going to be either just about okay or subpar. And the thing is, if let's say you genuinely deserve the world, then my goodness, go and marry God. Only He can give you more than the world. But what it is, what's at the root of it, is sisters deciding on a whim based on a narrative or a feeling or some conventional wisdom they've heard from other women that they should simply overvalue themselves in order to attain and attract more. That if I place my value here, then guys have to be on my level or higher in order to be romantic towards me, which pushes the price up, but it doesn't. Oh, it's painful to watch. It doesn't work like that. What you're actually doing is you're pushing the price up, so even the most reasonable, realistic human being will never, ever satisfy you or make you happy. Some of you guys have experienced huge romance in your lives and have never been able to enjoy it. Some of you. Some of you. Some of you have had fantastic displays of romance. But because it didn't fit a picture that you painted in your head with no loyalty to reality, it hurts. Now, the pain of feeling like you're not going to find anybody, or you're not wanted, or these guys are trash, or these guys are not putting in effort, the pain is on you, sis. Because you believed the lie and you perpetuated the lie that you just deserve everything. I'm fantastic. I deserve it all. You see, the difference between humility and entitlement is actually your enjoyment, not anybody else's. You think you need to drive the price up in order to be happier, because then if I tell guys you have to do this for me, I need to be getting flown out, then guys will then start flying you first class in order to try and be romantic towards you. Now you've got more stuff, now you'll be happier. It's a lie. Look at the sis that went to Nice and Monaco. He had enough money for the petrol and for the McDonald's. Do you know why she was able to enjoy that more than some of you will enjoy expensive gifts? Is because she understood that for the guy to even take this time to be driving her up and down and so on, it's a privilege and an honor. So if you go into it with humility, you're more likely to enjoy a romantic gesture. If you go into it with entitlement, you're more likely to rob yourself of your own enjoyment. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see. Oh my goodness. The humility is key here. Do you know, so many marriages fall apart because of the entitlement of simply looking at your spouse and just saying, yes, you should give me all of this. And over a period of time, everything that you were grateful for, you become entitled to. And so, of course, the romance is going to die, because you're never even looking at this person as though they are of value. You're looking at them as an underperformer. You're looking at them as somebody who is just not doing enough. You push the price up artificially. There's no one in the market to reach it. What happens after that? You either hold on to that price, you go bankrupt, or there's a huge price crash. It's basic economics. But, our sisters ain't clocking the game. We have to clock the game here. If you truly want to experience romance in your life, everything you see that you're calling lowering my standards, I'm not going to settle. You're robbing yourself. You are robbing yourself. It's painful to watch, but I see it all the time. Everybody loves a bit of romance. Everybody wants to feel like overvalued to a certain extent. You want to feel overvalued. You want to feel like, I know. Like, you know when you go in for a job and if the question was, what's your expected salary? Let's say you were going to say 40K. But before you even say that, they say to you, I'm sure 50K will be okay for you, right? The way in which you will jump small, because I know this has happened to me. The way in which you will jump small, you'll be like, yeah. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. Why? Because you enjoy being overvalued. Now, imagine, for example, I believed I deserved 60. When they offer me that same 50K, I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be like, actually, no, I'm hoping for 60. Now I have to try and negotiate my way up. And now maybe I feel undervalued by the company. Now, obviously, like I mentioned before, neither extreme is good. You can't extremely undervalue yourself, because then things that are below par seem like they are a step up. Right? Because you valued yourself so low. So it's more about getting an accurate reading on what your value is and what you actually deserve. And that's hard to do. Why? Because it takes self-awareness. It takes you being able to process your life's experiences, the honest feedback from those who love you and care about you, and those you don't know, and those who've been with you, and those who know you intimately, and those who know you in a cursory manner, to assess all of this and to go, well, if I'm honest, this is what I deserve. But that's not fashionable today. In fact, people boast on how much they can overvalue themselves. Average people just claiming that they deserve everything. I don't know. Do my sisters even really just ever sit down and think, how can all of us How can all of us here end up with a six-figure guy? How? How is this gonna work? How? How can all of us end up with a 6 foot bronze tanned Adonis with six figures and a six pack? How is this gonna work for all of us? How? How? You don't. You just go, I'm amazing. I deserve all of it. I want it all. Okay, fine. What I'll tell you what guys are doing on the other hand. Guys are going, do you know what? I tried moving to Beyonce. Beyonce wasn't having it. I tried moving to Gaboni Sidibe. She was having it, but I wasn't into it. All right. I tried moving to Whoopi Goldberg, but I felt like I could do better. All right. I moved to um Salma Hayek. I need to come back a bit. All right. Let me try. I moved to I don't know, just some regular run of the mill actress. She's okay. And it works out. And we're like, yeah, she's beautiful. She's pretty. We can make this work. He knows she's not Beyonce or Salma Hayek. But as far as he's concerned, nah, in my estimations, I'm doing well for myself. That guy will leave the market and settle down with that woman, especially if she has other qualities like being cooperative or being pleasant or whatever it is. Meanwhile, my sister is sitting there and say they all call it the same Idris Elba. Stay there. Stay there. All of you will be running after the same Idris Elba. Stay there. Now, I know this kind of message has become popularized very recently by people like Kevin Samuels. But I don't want to take it down the Kevin Samuels route because this isn't specifically all about high value man and so on and so forth. I'm talking about the gap between expectation and reality and how it causes disappointment. And how the disappointment is affecting my sister's ability to experience romance in this lifetime. You know, a direct function of this expectation versus reality situation we find ourselves in is gratitude. And it is almost directly correlated that the amount to which you are appreciative and truly feel well valued, it will add, or it is correlated to how appreciative and grateful you are in the way you communicate and treat somebody. But a lot of my sisters will go into a marriage or a relationship with a guy that they are equally yoked with and talk as though they've been given a bum deal. Let me tell you how you talk as if you've been given a bum deal. Let's discuss it, because it's not that you all just sit there and be like, you know, I could do better than you or whatever it is. Women don't necessarily do it like that, but they show you. They show you how. By questioning you all your decisions. By letting you know that they don't think you can lead. Saying things like, oh, I'll submit when blah, blah, blah. I'll submit when you start doing this, this, and this. No longer taking care of their appearance. When a woman is going to go and meet someone that they find important, they present themselves accordingly. When she starts to see you as somebody that she no longer values in that way or doesn't think you deserve it, she will lower how much effort she puts in. You'll be passive aggressive. You'll question all of his thoughts. You'll be in public with his friends. You'll undermine him. You'll yimu. You'll be doing that when he's talking. You'll be rolling your eyes. All those subtle passive aggressive things that communicate that, to be honest, I actually feel like I could do better than you. Everything in life shows that you can't. But you believe it. You just tell yourself it. I deserve everything. So because you believe you deserve everything, this guy who makes, I don't know, 35K a year can't fly you out anywhere. It doesn't know all the museums and stuff. Doesn't have the best dress sense. But's a good guy, and he likes to buy you flowers from time to time. He treats you well. He's decent. You be looking at the guy, and you be like, yeah, I can date him, because you don't want anyone to call you a gold digger. But your whole attitude in the whole time screams of, I think I'm better than you. Maybe you are more academically smart than him. So every time he speaks, you feel the need to correct his grammar. You feel the need to undermine his points. You snigger a little bit. It's your own ability to experience romance that's going to suffer. Whilst this show is still a bit more freeform, I've taken the opportunity to do a bit of, taking some of the messages I got, the DMs, as well as this little monologue, and just to speak freely. But essentially, the way it was laying on my heart about the nature of overpaying, like romance requires somebody to overpay for you. To say I can get you at £5, but I still choose to pay 10. If I buy my wife flowers, the only reason it's romantic is because I don't have to buy her flowers. I'm doing it because I know she likes it, or because I know it'll make her happy, and I want to go above and beyond. If a guy lights 100 candles in a room and has rose petals sprinkled everywhere, the whole point in it is that it's unnecessary. Romance by nature is unnecessary. It's taking what's practical and necessary and saying, I want to do more. And some of you don't have a full grasp on what's practical and necessary, because you truly believe that designer clothes are practical and necessary. So even if he, gets you something from ASOS, you're like, all right, cool. I mean, other people are getting Birkin bags. This guy's getting me stuff from Primark with the Atmosphere label on it. You're listening to what some girl got. Oh, this one, her man bought her Birkin bag. Her man bought her this, her man bought her that. You're saying God when? Maybe God is saying never. Be shouting God when. God will turn to you and say, never. And it's sad. It's sad because if you valued yourself accurately, oh, you would enjoy so much more in life. And even though I'm talking about this on the place of romance, and I explained why the message is mostly at the sisters, for the brothers it's the same. It's just that most life usually teaches this lesson to brothers. But if you are a brother, and to be honest, I had a similar discussion with the brother who mentioned his first thing. He did all of that stuff. And I said, you did all of that. What do you go do for wife? My brother, that was a lot. He said, more. I said, more grease to your elbow, my brother. More grease to your elbow. Because I don't discourage it. But I was wary of it. Like, you did all of this for a girlfriend? And you guys are no longer together now? Kutuye now. Shekukboju. Is it not too much? It's because I want guys to accurately assess themselves as well. If you undervalue yourself as a guy and you pedestalize a woman, she loses respect for you. You're doing the most for her. She will disrespect you. Because she'll be looking at you with disgust and disdain. Like, why is this guy behaving like this? Why can't he just grow a spine, get some backbone? What's all of this? And you'll be feeling like real mumu, like, what did I do? Except be nice to you and do nice things for you. And on the other hand, there are guys who are overvaluing themselves. You see, the thing about the Kevin Samuel stuff is that there is a video that also went viral where he was talking to a guy. It's the one where he says to the guy, "You don't even have a big D." In this one, this guy was saying he doesn't think he should have to approach women. Women should approach him. It turns out this guy makes less than $10,000 a year. He's overweight, and also we learn he does not have a small D. He does not have a big D. This guy's clearly overvalued himself to the point where he's cheating himself out of any kind of real interaction with women because he really believes, and I think he was masking a fear or an insecurity or fear of rejection or whatever it is, but he was really masking all of that, I think, in this belief that women were supposed to come and approach him. And it's like, brother, life is showing you that this is delusional. Life is showing you that you are chatting fraff, my brother. And yet, here you are. Let's read some comments. Okay, I still had the Instagram going. Even though, guys, if you're on the Instagram, it's a much better show on YouTube, and the link is in my bio. So for those of you who are on the YouTube on the Instagram, you can join the YouTube right now. Let me see. Topper1 says, "Yes, just let me know you are thinking of me. Small or big gestures count as long as it is genuine from the heart." Do you understand that small gestures only mean something because you appreciate that it's more than they needed to do? The same action can be romantic based on how you view what you deserve. When my sisters talk about guys are not romantic anymore and so on and so forth, it's like you fail to see how much of it is to do with your own attitude. You see, if a guy picks up the phone in the middle of his workday and says, "Hey, I just wanted to check on you," that could be him making a conscious effort in his mind that I cannot let this day pass without letting this woman know I'm thinking of her. And if you choose to see it that way, you experience the joys of being romantically pursued. Whereas if you have become used to this guy's calls and you actually believe that he should be calling you more, that same call now is lacking. The same call, the same action. Guys can't change how you feel. They can change what they do. You have way more control over how you choose to see what they do. So when I think about, this kind of husband coaching that I've been mentioning, training up long distance marriage athletes, there's only so much I can tell the brothers. If the hearts of the women that they are pursuing do not change, it will all fall on deaf ears. It's all a waste of time. Shout out to everybody still on the Instagram. Like I'm trying to let you know, head over to the YouTube, man. The YouTube is much better visually. It's way more produced over here. And this is going to be the main focus. But I appreciate you if you're still here anyway, if you're on the Instagram. All right, let's go over to the YouTube comments. Wow, so we got quite a lot on here. Let's get to it. Chidima says they taught us in church that men don't need romance, they need respect. Men don't need romance. True. Men need respect. True. That doesn't mean men don't want romance. They don't need it in the same way. Just like women don't need sex in the same way. Women want sex, yes. Women don't need it like men need it. And that's why it's very important for us to do more than we need to do. Right? To do more than we need to do. Because we all secretly want to be overvalued. And so when we can't find someone else to overvalue us, we overvalue ourselves in the hope that that will push our value up. And it's a lie. It pushes our enjoyment down. Okay, let's get into the next comment. Are there any women watching? Say hey, please. I don't want to be typing by myself. If there are any sisters, please type in the YouTube so that Chidima doesn't feel alone. And I'd love to take some calls from anyone actually. If there are any sisters that want to talk on the matter, I'd love to hear from you. If you're on Instagram, join the YouTube. You'll see a pinned comment with the link to the Zoom. Click on the Zoom, turn your camera on, and we can start taking calls in a bit. All right. All right. So, man, I came to laugh and met a whole word. Don't worry, the banter is still there. The banter is still there. We still go. We still go chuckle. All right. When you say value, what do you mean? Because I hear value described as financial, spiritual, and other. The value is cultural. Is this an across the board description or something else? When I say value, I mean how much the people you are trying to attract are willing to give for you in terms of whatever it is they have to give. Every day, women are very clear on the idea of value because they know the men that possess something that they value and they treat those men accordingly. So, for example, if a guy has good looks, he may get more of their time and attention than a guy who they deem to not have good looks. If for some women, if a guy has a certain amount of height, he may get a date when the guy who doesn't have that amount of height wouldn't. So you understand value is based on what you want. That man's value is then determined by what he's able to command from women. And the same works for women. If guys are not willing to commit to you, it's because they don't value you as a commitment. Guys can value you as a sexual partner, but not as a committed one. And you will know it from your interactions. If you consistently get guys who you feel you're better than, chances are you're deluded. If the vast majority of guys that approach you, you feel like you're better than them, chances are you're deluded. Because if the vast majority of guys are within one category, that's most probably a truer reflection of the value of what you can get, of what you can attract. If none of these, multi-millionaires are knocking down your door, finding you on social media and trying to hit you up, then chances are you're just not in that category. If the tall guys who all the women want don't seem to be coming for you, then maybe your value is not as high as you think it is. You ready for that? It's not to just neg you and put you down and make you feel bad. It's so that when a guy who comes to you who maybe doesn't have the height, but is actually interested in you, you may be able to actually enjoy his attention and his advances because now you have a more accurate picture. Maybe, rather than writing him off because he doesn't look like this guy that you value higher. You have to understand, every time you look at a guy and you're like, well, you don't value high enough, there's a guy looking at you saying the exact same thing, but you don't want to hear it because you want to believe that you're the most beautiful woman in the world. Look, let me let you know something, yeah? When a man says to his wife that you're the most beautiful woman in the world, he has created a new world. It's a new world where he can determine the parameters so he can install you as the most beautiful woman in the world. The real world that everyone else lives in, you are not. If there's one most beautiful woman in the world, that means 7 billion minus 1 women are not the most beautiful women in the world. So what we do is we create a world that's very subjective, in which beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and then they now bestow that title upon you so that they can overvalue you, so you feel romance. You feel romantic attention. The problem is, you guys don't know the difference between this subjective artificial world that has been created for your enjoyment and the real world, which is telling you, relax. Relax. Okay? When your child sings a song and you know they don't have the most beautiful voice in the world, and you say to them, that was beautiful. Oh, you have the best voice. I love to listen to you sing. That is within a world that you have created for them as the one who loves them, as their parent. But when you take them to X Factor and say, my child has the most beautiful voice, and the entire country goes, nah, I don't agree. I don't think so. That's the real world. So when they don't get the record deal, that means their voice is not as valued as you think it is. You're their parent. Right? If you can understand the difference between these two worlds, you can move with humility at the X Factor stage and enjoy the attention of your family space. But you guys walk into the world stage, the X Factor stage, like everybody believes what your family believes. It's a lie. No matter how much you go onto the X Factor stage and tell them, I'm the best singer in the world, I deserve multi-million-dollar contracts. If they're not willing to offer it to you, if you don't get the votes, then you don't deserve it. It's that simple. Day after day, delusion has crept in so far that women just say, I'm a 10, I'm a 10. Everybody's a 10. I'm a 10, you a 10. Don't let anybody tell you different. All right, cool. You walk out there and you say, I'm a 10. I deserve what 10s get. You don't get it. And then you're like, well, there's no men out here. Bruh. All right, let's get back to these comments. All right. I'll give a practical example. Shout out to the BIG. Humility is important. I appreciate that. Give a practical example, please. I guess that was so far behind, so I'm not sure exactly what that practical example was for, but hopefully I've given enough practical examples now. Isn't a lot of the false expectation directly influenced by what we see around us? If all you see on social media is people being overvalued, then naturally you want or expect the same for yourself. Of course, but this again is my point. If you see it on social media, that is a world, right? That is a world. And when somebody creates a page and tells you, I don't expect anything less from my man. My man has to be buying me, blah, 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 blah. Look at all my gifts and trinkets. They're creating a world. You have to be able to distinguish between that and the real world that you are operating in. You see, there's a lot of new age spirituality and ideas about manifesting and so on that are essentially giving my sisters the hearts of witches, the heart of witchcraft. I'm not saying all my sisters are witches. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the heart of witchcraft is that you genuinely believe you have the power to manipulate all situations for your favor. And it's just not true. The whole concept of why manifesting is so popular now, especially with women, is because it gives them the notion that they have supernatural control over events. And so if they just manifest hard enough, a millionaire is going to come with a 12-inch penis and nothing better to do than to do everything you've ever wished and hoped for, even before you know it. Wild. It's wild. The streets are cold, man. Streets are cold. All right, let's get to some of the comments. I've seen some comments on the Instagram. Shout out to Nigel. I see you, bro. All right, what if they just don't value themselves? Also, the insecurity men. Um, that's what I'm saying. Men need to value themselves at an appropriate level. If you overvalue yourself, you just delusional and you're ridiculous and it falls apart. If you undervalue yourself, you're gonna get walked all over, and it's a shame. Men undervaluing themselves is part of the reason why men sling their penises around so much. You don't even value your own penis, man. Not everybody's supposed to get access. But you're just so happy that somebody's giving you attention, you're willing to give it out to anybody. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. We need to get selective, man. Right now, your penis has the door policy of Tiger. You better move your penis to Mayfair and get yourself a guest list. And ideally, that guest list should have one person on it. My wife. But since y'all don't want to listen, at least come off the Tiger policy, man. Come on, man. Tiger let you in even if you come in flipping saying, I'm a terrorist, I got a bomb in my bag. They'd be like, all right, just make sure you put it in the cloakroom. Bruh. The game is wild. Let's get back to these comments. All right, no, there was one more comment here. No one should be able to devalue a person. If so, then that person needs to look into self-love. Look here. I'm going to leave that one. I'm just going to leave it. All right, let's get back to these comments. For the people who are still on Instagram, just so you know, there is the option of joining the show on YouTube where it's popping off and it's popping off heavy. All right. All right, cool. So let's get back to these comments on the YouTube. I think that happens when she settles, not when she marries someone she's equally yoked to. Chidinma said that. I'm guessing you probably said that when I was talking about how women in sly ways show that they feel like they're better. And this is the problem. Women don't always understand who they're equally yoked with. If you've overvalued yourself, you think that you're equally yoked with people that don't value you. And so a lot of women will put themselves in a situation where they'd rather be the side chick of some rapper or be cheated on by a rapper because they've overvalued themselves and they've met somebody who's willing to go, do you know what, I'll call you at that price. But they haven't really, because they've not committed to you and they're willing to cheat on you anyway. So they haven't really valued you, but they're willing to give you the illusion of being valued. Right? So you will go, all right, cool, this is it. This is what I deserve. This guy makes a lot of money. This guy's very powerful and popular and talented and people want him. That's the guy I'm valuing. And he values me. Cool. Then he starts cheating on you. And then you're like, but if I go back out there, I might have to start dating a guy who gets paid one time a month. Oh, that would suck. I've already tasted Nobu Shoreditch. These fraud men have been spending on me like they don't work hard or they don't work legitimately for their money. So now if I go to somebody who works legitimately for his money, he's going to have a budget and whatnot. Like, that's dead. I'm going to be with a guy that has a budget. And so you stay in a situation where you're actually being undervalued because you overvalued yourself. And you're willing to take the misery because you feel like you finally had your value validated. Oh, the game is cold, y'all. The game is cold. All right. Ken Pachioasis says, women make an effort to present themselves. In a long-term relationship, isn't it less about her seeing the person as unimportant and just taking them for granted? Yeah, that's what taking someone for granted is that I don't think you're as important anymore. I already have you. Why do I need to do more? That's what taking someone for granted is. Like, it's granted. I already have you. So why do I need to put in extra effort? And when people start to take each other for granted, that's why they say familiarity breeds contempt. Or absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's the fact that you start to value people, unfortunately, when when your access is limited. But when it's given to you, it now requires you to put the energy and the mind frame in to say, do you know what? Even though I have you, I'm still gonna keep paying more. And most people just don't do it because it doesn't make sense. In romance doesn't make sense. Let's be honest with this. But we all seem to want some version of it. Romance doesn't make sense. Romance isn't a logical decision. Like I said from the beginning, romance is saying, I can get you for £5, but I still want to pay 10. Oh, let's get into something about the romance, about how you killed the romance. Ooh, this one's gonna be painful. I tell you another reason why the romance is hard to come by. Tell you why? Cheap sex. Cheap sex. You see, when women decided they wanted their sexual liberation, they wanted to freely throw it around, no judgment, there's a silent judgment that happens. There's a silent judgment. And it fluctuates. It's different for each man. There's no one consensus on this. You'll hear guys say something wild to try and build some consensus on it. There's no consensus on it. Every guy's different in this matter. And this is where the hope lies for a lot of women. That they will strike the match with the right guy. But I'll give you the overall trend here. The overall trend is that a lot of women have a pricing structure that makes some men pay more for the same outcomes as other men who have paid less. And it's painful. I understand that romance is paying more than you need to. But you have to understand, the pay more than you need to is everything to do with expectation versus reality. It's where if where your reality and your expectation are, you're usually in a good, healthy place. But when your expectation is higher than your reality, there's so much room for disappointment. Now, the pricing structure works like this. If you are a celebrity, you can get the same level of intimacy and access to my body as a man, as a regular 9-to-5 guy who has committed to me for life. One guy commits to you for life and you open up your body to him. One guy simply shows up and you open up your whole body to him. At some point, guys are going to be like, I'm paying too much for this. We dropped the price. We need to drop the price on this. I'm not going to be the one who's doing too much. So it doesn't mean that you won't ever find a guy who's going to, try and approach you or want to have sex with you or want to be with you. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if let's say we bring it closer together, if there's two guys in a friendship group, one of them, you had sex with them at a party, and the other one, you're like, well, I think we should go on a few more dates. The guy who's going on the dates is going to be like, so you mean I'm waiting and taking you out, and he just hit it at the party? I need to reduce how much I'm paying. One, for the respect of my peers. But two, also, I don't want to feel like I'm being taken for a mug. So what do you guys start to do? How do guys drop the value? They shut off part of their emotional vulnerability. They go, I can't get too emotionally attached to this woman because clearly she can get, after I finish paying for all of her food, she can decide she's no longer into me and start banging my next friend again or a different guy. So he cuts off the amount of emotional vulnerability he's about to show you. How else does he do that? He starts to cut back on the amount of money that he spends. He starts to cut back on the amount of time and effort he puts in. He might not take it down to zero, but he'll definitely cut it. So in a world where women have the freedom to sleep with whoever they want, what you can't then do is make everybody pay a price that you've set. Well, you can. You can make them pay the price that you've set. What you can't do is you can't then get all the same customers while setting different prices for them. Some people are going to exit the market. Some people are going to be like, it just isn't worth it to me. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. I'm just not going to be that guy who does the most for this. Nah, not me. And you have to accept that because that's their choice. You had your choice. They had theirs. You get freedom of choice, not freedom from consequence, right? That's one of the consequences of it, is that if a guy can see that so-and-so smashed with very little effort, that tells him a ballpark of where the amount of effort he should be expecting to put in order to smash. So if that guy basically gave you a compliment, when he gives you a compliment, he's going to be like, yeah, I think we're in the realm of smashing now. You're like, well, it's going to take more than a compliment. It's like, but it didn't take him more than a compliment. So that means you don't really value me. I'm a mug here. I'm the one who's supposed to be taking you out on dates, paying money, doing all those sorts. I need to marry you first now, or whatever it is, whatever bar you set. And he didn't have to do any of that. All right, cool. I'm done. Or they'll do it so they can smash and then they'll bounce. Because it was about proving the point and getting out of there. Cheap sex has ruined a lot of romance. It's painful, but it's just the way it is. People don't want to deal with it. People don't want to hear it. Because it's not convenient. It's not convenient truth. I'm not saying that's the way it should be. I'm saying that's the way it is. You need to hate me for it. But you'll know it. You'll know it. All right. Let me see. I think that happened. What did you say? Okay, cool. Women. Bashment Kate asks, women don't need sex. Since when? 20% of couples report a woman with the highest sex drive. That's the statistic behind it. So in terms of the broad strokes I was mentioning earlier on the whole, if we're talking about the need for sex, it's usually the man. And also, if you understand about the basic needs in a marriage between a man, not even just even in a marriage, but if you understand the basic needs of men and women, you would know why sex plays on the men's side and why non-sexual affection, physical affection plays on the women's side. It's not to say that men don't need cuddles and hugs and so on. It's not to say women don't need sex or whatever, but the need is not the same. It's not the same. All right, I hope that clarifies what I meant. All right, so wow, the truth hurts, man. Many shoulders will lower this evening. Shoulders need to lower. Everybody needs to bring their chest down and face facts. We need to face facts. Let's stop deceiving ourselves here. All right. 12-inch winky. All right, Bashment K. I don't think women are that dunce to think manifesting is just sitting at home doing nothing and waiting for this man. No, it's not that. But it's like if I purpose it, if I read my affirmations, if I think on it, and so on and so forth, there's a certain amount of delusion that's required to go through a whole series of things. Like, y'all want to turn me into a savage here, but I'm not gonna be that person. Look, yeah, I'm not saying they just sit down and go, yeah, I manifested. I'm saying that they will give themselves a bunch of exercises to do. in that they've read in their latest manifesting blog or heard from their latest manifesting influencer. But at the very root of it is a lifetime of disappointment. You notice how the influencer who sells you on the manifesting, you can never hold them responsible. If an influencer on Instagram says, "Oh, you just need to manifest," do you know the beauty of that business model? You can never hold them responsible. When do they ever submit themselves to say, "Everybody I told about manifesting, come forward now and accuse me if it didn't happen"? They never do that. They never do that. The game is forever rigged in their favor. They can tell you whatever they want to tell you. But to be honest, it never really has to come true. It never really does. Because there's no fallout for them. They can tell you, they can promise you whatever they want to promise you. It doesn't have to come true. You have to understand this. When we're talking about like manifesting, or or even some of these preachers that preach prosperity gospel. If a preacher's telling you, "Oh yeah, all you need to do is pray more and money's gonna come to you," all right. You come back to them next day and say, "I prayed, money hasn't come." They say, "Oh, you didn't pray hard enough, or you need to add fasting, or whatever it is." You can't hold them responsible for the results. And so that's why my sisters are too easily pimped. All right. Or worse, that he's spying or being intrusive. I'm missing, because I'm reading these comments later. I'm not getting all of the context in which you guys are saying. Hey, Miss Jade, I see you. Everybody, join the YouTube side, man. The YouTube is where it's really popping off. Yeah, this is a limited. The link is in my bio. Join the YouTube. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. I need to go use the toilet. I drank a lot of water. If you guys will allow me, I'm gonna go use the toilet. Please give me a short intermission. We're staying up though. Friday night vigil. We're still going strong. Much love, guys. I'll be back. Thank you guys, man. Thank you guys. I feel much more refreshed. I'm back. I'm ready to take some calls, guys. If you have any thoughts on this issue of romance and everything else I've been discussing, I'm gonna drop the Zoom link again in the what's it called? In the chat box. Sorry, in the chat box for the YouTube, and it's a great opportunity for you to call in and come and speak to me. Turn your camera on. Let's have a quick conversation, man. All right. I'm copying the invite link again. Come and tell me what your thoughts are. If I'm way off, or if you actually feel like you had an epiphany, you learned something. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. I'm ready to start taking some of these calls, so I'm gonna put it back on intermission. Call in, guys, and hopefully we can get a good conversation going. Alright, about to start taking calls on the YouTube. Go to the YouTube and join the Zoom link. Hey, my bro, I'm good. Can you turn your camera on? Not yet. Once your camera's on and I've got a good picture on you, then we'll go live. They can't hear you yet. Yeah. All right, dope. I mean, if you've got the YouTube on in the background, just make sure it's on mute, and then you can see how it looks when you jump on. I still can't see your video at the moment, but once I see your video, then we'll go live. We'll have the chat. I'll ask you a few questions. All right, we almost there, man. We almost there. First call. Andy Davis? I don't think so. Okay. All right, bro. You ready to go live? We're talking about the nature of romance. I will recap once we're both live. All right, you ready, bro? Yeah, it's good. It's all good. Okay. Let's do this, man. Hey, my bro, what's going on, Mr.
What's up, bro?
Osas?
Yo, yo, yo.
How's it going, man? How you doing? How you doing this evening?
Man, I'm doing okay, man. It's a pleasure to be on the Friday night vigil.
Thank you very much for joining in, man. It's an interesting concept. I'll tell you that for free. It's it's something I'm kind of building as we go. I'm growing as I go, but it's been fun. It's been an interesting journey. And so today I've been talking about romance. I was kind of going free form today.
Okay.
And I was saying that like what was really on my mind this morning was the fact that the nature of romance is to overpay. It's to say I know I can get you at this level, but I choose to pay more. Right? So I likened it to the nature of the love of Christ and how, you know, the first part of the Bible is to let us know what we deserve, which is death. But then we can now appreciate the love that Christ is showing us by sacrificing for people who actually deserve to die, right? And I'm saying the same thing plays out in the essence of romance. But the reason why a lot of sisters don't experience romance is because they've already overvalued themselves. So if somebody now gives you more than you deserve, you think you deserve it. And you will never truly experience the joy of romance because you've already overvalued yourself. Now,
Yeah, that's super interesting. I had the opportunity to actually listen in on part of the video earlier that was on YouTube. So I got in on some of the convo, at least the bit that was linking it to Christ and his love and how that was a very romantic gesture for the whole world. I didn't get that bit. So that's quite an interesting analogy and how you're drawing that kind of correlation, right?
I'm saying that the
But
root of it is the same concept. I'm not saying
yeah,
that
no, I'm
God,
with you.
Christ's
I
love
hear
is
you on that.
romantic, but you get what I'm trying to say.
I definitely get you there. Although I have to say, I don't think I would necessarily agree on the notion of be like if you take it to the if we're looking at ro- romantic in terms of people being in some kind of one-to-one relationship. I don't know if it's so much so that the person overvalues themselves as they don't value the other person. I would flip on its head. And I
Okay.
would say that based upon, I guess, some of my own personal experiences, things I've observed and all things I've experienced. And it seems that, like, if somebody values another person, let's say there's a guy that a girl she's always been checking on this guy for a long time. Maybe she's had a crush on him since she was in secondary school, for example. She gets the sixth form, and this guy all of a sudden is checking her. Now, because she highly esteems this person, any action that he takes, she then might perceive as a romantic gesture. So less to do with maybe how she puts herself on a pedestal, but maybe on how she perceives him. So then all of his actions now translate into like, oh, he was so kind, he was so this, he was so that. So that's kind of how I would take it. But then again, I see what you're saying. Like, if they perceive themselves in a certain way, they put themselves on a pedestal, then they can't even appreciate that. But I would start with their outward outward look rather than the inward one.
Interesting. Interesting. The reason why I said what I said was to do with. I started off with a couple of examples about like celebrity breakups, and I don't really like doing the gossip or celeb gossip kind of thing, but I use it to try and illustrate an issue or a point. And I said that there's a female rapper, Sweetie, who was with a male rapper, Quavo, and it seems like they may have broken up. But not too long ago, they were doing up couple goals, and people were really, pushing them up that he basically buys her Birkin bags, very expensive designer bags. And the whole narrative around it was like, real men buy Birkins. It's just these broke guys that are not buying Birkins. There's also, in fact, a line in the latest Cardi B song where she's talking about how broke boys don't deserve any
Love.
sex, any sex. Yeah,
Yeah.
love is the word we'll use for that one. But what it does, the knock-on effect is a lot of women are running around basically with a standard in their mind as to what they should command that is based on nothing but the gas and hype of the information they take in. So they see that this woman gets designer bags and they're like, well, I should get designer bags because I am also a top 10 babe. I am, the most beautiful woman in the world. And I'm saying that there's a certain amount of healthy self-awareness that that would allow you to go, do you know what?
Yeah.
Fine. I don't get the designer
You know what,
bags you
right?
want, but I can accept what I get and I appreciate it.
I think that's super interesting because as you say that, it reminds me of economics, and it's the market that determines the price of something.
Thank you, my brother. That's what I was saying. The market determines the price, and people try to manipulate the market, but the market forces will
No, but then
always...
it makes sense though. But that's how it works. The companies advertise, right? And so if McDonald's doesn't advertise, then they're gonna have to charge their chicken and chips the same price that the person in Morley's does, for example, right? It's their advertisement, it's their brand that allows them to be able to extract that value. So I don't blame people for putting the advertisement out there. And you can advertise all you like, but if you're like, I think I listened to some of the conversation we were having earlier, but if you're not able to attract a certain kind of caliber, even though that is what you're purporting, you're like, hey, the best that I have is the best that I want is going to be things above 15 carat. Anything below hand, I'm not even going to look you in the eye, right? If that's the stand that you're setting out there for somebody, right? And no one's willing to give that to you, then perhaps you haven't found the right one. I mean, I'm trying to be positive about this. Perhaps you find the right person out that will value you or maybe be able to have that kind of sustenance to provide that to you.
I mean, I get that 100%, and I feel you on that, bro. But the thing is that this is, let's be honest here. There's finite resources and finite time on this earth, and you haven't got time to check out every guy and see what the best deal is out there. You kind of get a handle on what you can attract, what you can gain, and you learn to appreciate what it is that you get within that context. And I think there's too many bad faith relationships going on where women are doing what they call settling. So they actually have a decent guy, but they believe they deserve more. So they're never fully going to appreciate him and they end up sabotaging the relationship. Or you've got women who so undervalue themselves that even if a guy just gives them the bare amount of attention, they think that that's romance. And so they end up getting played. And they end up getting, downtrodden and stepped upon. And I think an accurate ability to look at the market and value yourself, to create a base standard, to create a minimum wage, and then now value yourself from there, I think that is probably the healthiest way to approach this. Create a minimum standard that says, look, you need to not hit me and not be abusive to me emotionally or whatnot. That's like the base standard. All right, cool.
I would hope it's a bit higher than that, but let's.
I mean, I said base. Then you build on that. Then you now say, okay, then I would also like blah blah blah. I can attract this. This is where I think my level is, and so on. And it really it bugs me when I see it because I feel like it really robs us of the happiness and of the joy where that gap between the expectation and reality is kind of very apparent to everyone but the person. Everybody can tell you, look, brother, like that woman that you're with right now, I know in your mind you think that there's a whole rap video full of women that want you. You better respect the one that you have. This one is here, and you're doing very well for yourself. Or sister, you see this brother right here? I know he's not as tall as you thought he was gonna be, but that's a good man right there. And these men that you say you want, you're not gonna get this kind of treatment again.
Yeah,
stay where you are. Respect this one. You see what I'm saying? Like to be able to have that.
No, I'm with you. I think that with the way that as you frame it like that, then it becomes clearer to me why you took the opposite approach than I had initially, where you said, people need to think about how they value themselves first. And then out of that, it will determine the quality of relationship they can fully enjoy with everyone else in the outside world. For the person.
The other
Go
thing
ahead.
is though, you see what you just described it as quality of relationship. You can have the best relationship between two people who are equally yoked, but
Yeah.
they're both quite low value in terms of the market. So if you get like a broke guy and a not so attractive woman who
Yeah.
both actually appreciate each other, they
Mm.
can have a much better relationship than a guy who has more money and a woman who's really beautiful, but they both think that they're like settling for the other person.
You.
We think
Mhm,
that
mhm,
having more stuff means a
mhm,
better
mhm.
quality of relationship, and that's the fallacy.
You know, right? As you say that, there's another concept that comes to my mind, right? And that is perceived value. So, typically, right,
Mm.
one thing I've seen a lot just in my life is that people commenting on, I know it's obviously definitely looked down upon more in this time and age than perhaps it had been in previous years. But I think that people within their circle still do this. And I mean, it's nothing that's super out there, but people comment on the attractiveness of people's girlfriends or their boyfriends, less so on their spouses,
Mm.
right? Because what people then tend to value more is the quality of the relationship. And so I've seen some certain couples, right? And I think that's such an amazing couple. And you think, wow, couple goals, all these things that you might see out on social media. And I think what you think less about when you look at the couple themselves is how they appear, or necessarily how they what they have, but just more of the nature of their interaction. Because when you're, I guess, maybe looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend, you might look to more superfluous metrics of value, right? And then because of those are very temperamental bars of these different kinds of metrics, you know, we those don't tend to be all that long lasting, and people tend to be very, very opinionated about like how someone should look or what they should give them, etc. But then I think it's so rare to find somebody from which you can have like a healthy and long lasting relationship that the value of that exceeds anything about attractiveness and about wealth. So I think a lot of people who are wealthy could actually admire somebody else's relationship. Like, oh my gosh, look at that married couple. Aren't they amazing?
Mm. Yes, and to be honest, bro, I think it comes from the attitude and the approach. It comes from it's more to do with the state of your heart and the state of your mind than it is to do with the wallet or how you actually look. Um, you know, we can't pretend here like richer guys don't have access to more female attention, or like beautiful women don't have access to more male attention. But at the end of the day, you don't marry everybody. You don't date everybody. You have to date
Mm-mm-mm.
one person where you guys both value each other. And if you
Mm,
want to actually experience romance, you actually both overvalue each other. Overvaluing
mm,
is the element of romance that we're all looking for. We want someone to slightly overvalue us. We want somebody who's going to essentially say, "Look, I know you've already committed to me, but I'm still gonna go out and buy you flowers because I want you to know that I want to put in extra effort for you. I want you to feel like you are
mm.
special. Even if the
Yeah,
rest of the world
definitely.
doesn't think you're special, I
Yeah.
think you're special." So we
Mm,
all
mm,
want to be overvalued in some sense of the word.
mm,
And I
mm,
think people understand it for themselves sometimes, but they don't understand it for the other person. Why?
mm,
Because they've already convinced that they are the ones settling. If you talk to some sisters and you talk to them about making their husband happy, like, why should I make my husband happy? Like, those days are
mm,
gone. Like, what do you mean about make a man happy? Like, what's all of that about? Because they genuinely believe that for the man to even be with them, he's already won the prize. Like, he gets to be with them, rather than to understand that, actually, sis, you know, you too, you're also collecting something, and then value him accordingly, and then treat him accordingly, show gratitude accordingly. All in all, I mean, bro, I'm talking to somebody here, if you don't mind me saying, who has found a wife and therefore found a good thing.
Hey.
I mean, come, like, bro. Let me just even give you something. My own. Do you know what? Yeah. Let me just even give you like round of applause. because
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
because
Thank you.
I've been talking about on here that they keep saying there's no husbands out here, and I'm like, these husbands are out here. Certain sisters are getting snapped up and getting chosen. So I don't know what you're seeing, but day in day out, I'm seeing married brothers out here. You're doing your thing, and your marriage will last in Jesus' name.
Amen.
But now that you're right at the start of your journey in this situation, there are things that you would have done to value the woman that you now want to marry. And there will be a temptation when you get married and you've already, or when you're married, you have the commitment, you have everything, to now go, I don't need to do all of that. Right? That's where you start to devalue each other. You start to say, do you know what? I don't need to do it to get you. I don't need to do it to keep you. So why do I need to do it?
It's interesting, right? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then that's the beginning of you no longer experiencing romance in the marriage, right?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why people have all these horror stories about marriage, is because they started devaluing each other.
Yeah.
So at the very root of it, all I'm saying is you need to find somebody who knows your real value, chooses to overvalue you, chooses. If they do it because they feel they have to try and get you or to try and keep you, it's unhealthy. But when they choose to do more than they need to do, that's when you're really going to start to enjoy the romance and all the vibes you want to enjoy in marriage. But please speak on it, bro.
Yeah, man. So just on that note, thank you very much for acknowledging that fact. And just like, I guess, to give some meat to what you just said, once somebody chooses to overvalue you, right? Then obviously that can lead to you having this perpetual virtuous cycle of love and experiencing romance. So before I was a married man, I had experiences with women who I didn't necessarily feel valued me that much. Right? And it was clearly sometimes an effort for them to do certain things, right? And given that it was taking so much effort for them to do that, I remember there was one girl I was chasing so much, and my friends told me one day, my friend said to me, hey, would you want her to be the mother of your children? And you know what, right? In that split second, I thought to myself, actually, given that it takes this much just to get her to like show me affection, how can I feel confident that when I leave the house or I'm not with her and she's with the children are going to be fed, diapers are going to be changed? No, obviously, like in that hypothetical scenario, there'll be her children too, so there's going to be like a certain responsibility on her part. But I just couldn't imagine a world where this person would go out of their way to do things that would help the two of us. And I was just like, oh, actually, I don't know if this person's a team player, And bro, I think
I've been there. If you want to trade unrequited love stories of chasing a girl and she's just logging you off, bro, we could go back to back. Bro. I got the stories
and
as
so
well. So we live and we learn.
Exactly. No, I think that it's super important to have somebody who is like a team player and they don't even see the overvaluing you aspect as something that is draining for them. It's not tasking. Like they do it willingly, right? Because back to your analogy about Jesus, like God so loved the world that he did this, right?
Yeah.
He loved us. The love was already there. Like the love was had 100, and the sacrifice was an expression of the love. And so similarly, like when somebody is your wife, somebody's your husband, and that person loves you, or the person has that potential to be your spouse, and they show you love in a healthy way, at measure, in a way that is non-exhaustive for them, then like, okay, this is a healthy place to be, right? And then I guess what you were getting at is that some people, even if they might be in such a scenario, they're still looking outside for what could be more. Or maybe trying to say, oh, but I don't quite have this in this person.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, right? Because life, you only live once, at least on this earth. So just, enjoy your life with your spouse, the person who is willing to love you, because it's hard out here, man.
It is hard out here. And you know what? Like this idea of like this never-ending supply of partners, it's like it's the same mentality as like the scrolling. You know, when you just scroll on Instagram, you just know more posts gonna keep coming. That's how you can sit there for hours and scroll. And when you go on Tinder, it just seems like an endless supply of new faces. You just keep swiping. Also, I've heard. I haven't been on any Tinder. I'm American. Let me make that clear. I've heard. So the idea is we now take that mentality into life now. And infinite scrolling is like a concept for us. And, you know, there's always that joke about like going up there's a department store that sells husbands, and the women go up to the next floor. It's like, oh, but then they go to the next floor, there's another one. Then they get to the final top floor, and it's like, yeah, you get no husband. All the women end up.
I think I've not heard that one before.
Oh, really? I've heard that joke told so many times. It's like quite a dead joke, but I've heard that joke told so many times. But the whole point is that I heard this phrase actually. Give a man a studio apartment, he'll find a way to be happy. Give a woman a 5-bedroom mansion, she'll find a way to be miserable. And the idea is that it's more about your perception of the situation you're in than it is about the situation. It's about choosing to find the good in it rather than to take something and say, let me find what's wrong with it, right? And the thing is, men do this as well. Men can run through so many women in their lifestyle because it's like, I like her, but her bum's not as big as so and so, or you know, I like her, but you know, she does this one other arbitrary thing here. When we start getting to the point of going, do you know what? I'm not going to look at this in terms of there's a better deal out there and I'm just missing out on it. There's this oasis just over the sand dune, and if I just make it there, it'll be better.
I mean, what if there is? So what?
Bruh, so what? This is what I'm saying. You keep thinking that if I get more and more more and more beauty, more and more money, more and more whatever it is, whatever arbitrary thing it is, it will make the relationship better. And it isn't. The relationship is made better when you by the conviction of your choice, because you are going to meet somebody who is even more good looking. Because the moment, even if you find a girl you think is the most beautiful girl in the world,
you will definitely find one who's better looking. Yeah,
you'll find another one. It's just the nature of it. And unless you've made that decision, that like
they might not be born today, but you'll find one eventually.
And you have to know, the thing is, people always think about it from their perspective. You have to know that for your partner, the same happens with you.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Every time a guy is looking at a more beautiful woman and going, look at what I'm missing out on. You know that your wife can be looking at
and for me, I think that's the beauty. I wouldn't necessarily encourage it, but I'm just saying that's the beauty of dating people, dating more than one person. Not at the same time. I'm not saying that one should go about doing that. But if you dated people beforehand and then you come, let's say you dated three people, right? As a woman, you might have dated George, Andy, and Dave, right? And then you meet a guy called Chris. Yeah. Hopefully, through those three relationships, you should have at least a rough idea of what you do like and what you do not like.
Yeah.
And so maybe like you might have wanted like a man with money, but then actually realized what you wanted was a man who's generous. And so you might have dated Andy. Andy might have been like super wealthy, but he just wasn't out here to like share that with you. He was taking you out to like the corner shop to go and get candy. Like, hey, let's just go for a walk. But meanwhile, maybe when you meet Chris actually, like I think you gave an example for somebody being on a mid-level salary.
Yeah.
He might be on a mid-level salary, but he's generous as ever, right? And so maybe
we can't skip over what you just dropped. We can't now, because I wanted to move on, but I couldn't, bro. You said you thought you wanted a man with money, but you realized you just wanted a man who was generous. A man who makes 50K but wants to spend 20 of it on you is better than a man who makes 100 but only wants to spend 5. Like, it's very
definitely.
Bro, there's so much seasoning on it. I had to season the mic, bro. That was fantastic. You dropped a bar right there.
Yeah, and so I mean, basically, like just experiencing those like really close, because being in a relationship is a crazy kind of experience. Because there's nothing much like it.
Yeah.
And when you're in one, it tells you so much about yourself. Things that you didn't even know about yourself, and also about the other person. And then they found things about themselves as well in the process. So it's a very reflective process. But if used well, you can find out critical things that will help you to, like you say, humble yourself when you begin to look outside. Like, actually, do I really want to look outside? Let's close those curtains. Let's keep it domestic.
Yeah,
So.
keep it domestic, bro. Bro, you've dropped too many bombs right now. And it's like, it's almost 1 a.m. How you're this lucid at this time is fantastic. I'm going to let you go because you're a man of respect and responsibility now. But I want to thank you so much for jumping on the live and for dropping these gems, bringing the wisdom to the stream. Friday Night Vigil welcomes you anytime you want to come back on again and have a
Pleasure.
Oh, so much love for you, bro, man.
All right,
have
man. Wishing you a good night.
All right, bro. Peace. Oh my goodness. What a brother right there, man. What a brother. Oh my goodness. Yes. All right, that was dope. Do you know what? Yeah, if nobody wants to also jump on the Zoom link and jump on a call, we can start wrapping up. Why cut it short? Because I can't just keep the guy all night. I know it's Friday Night Vigil. We can go to whatever time, really. But at the same time, I want to respect the fact that people have other things to do. You know, if I keep asking my guy questions, his missus might be like, "What's going on?" Like, I need you as well. It's not just Ola and Friday Night Vigil that need you. And also, just in case anyone else wants to call in, hit the Zoom link and join in real quick. Yep. All right. Cool. Then we do it like that. You're gonna need to turn your camera on, though. You're gonna need to turn your camera on, sis. And connect to the audio, obviously. Boom, boom, boom. All right, let's. Look here. Get camera ready. You can do it, man. It's Friday Night Vigil. We accept bonnets. We accept headscarves. We accept head wraps. Nah, don't duck out because of that. Are you really not gonna come on because you're not camera ready? You guys need to stop being so afraid of the camera. All right. Yo, we're just lining up the calls, just lining up the call. while we line up the call, I just to recap that call with Osas. Yo, that was dope. Osas dropped that bar right there. He said, "You thought you wanted a man with money. You realized you just wanted a man who was generous." Ooh, ooh. People make their demands circumstantial. They forget that most of the work takes place in the heart and mind. Come on. It's more about his mindset. It's more about his heart than it is about what he actually has. Circumstances change. Oh my goodness. And the other part, the bar that the one that I felt like was my bar, is like, people always forget, when you think about all the choices you have out there, that your partner also can look at you and say, do you know what? Ugh. It's very easy. It's very easy for you to feel like you're being hard done by. But if your partner was to also let you know all the people they compare you to, would you be able to stand? If you, as a sister, you're telling the man that, oh man, look at other people's husbands, they're buying this, they're buying that. If he says, look at other people's wife, look at how their stomach is flat. God forbid. God forbid. What? I told you I had more sound effects. I just waited to drop that one. I was waiting to drop that one. How will you be able to stand? Because it's so easy when you're doing your own. It's so easy to be like, look at this, look at that. I deserve this, I deserve that. What if your man says, I deserve a woman with a better body? God forbid. God forbid. What? If you, as a guy, are telling your girl that, there's so many girls out here, these girls are running you down. What if she turns around and tells you, there's actually a lot of guys out here as well, and they're running me down. So, I'm kind of struggling to be faithful to you too. God forbid. God forbid. What? Can you stand? Can you stand it, my brother? Can you stand it, my brother? You see, sometimes if we do too much basketballs, we will fight each other, We will really fight each other. If you do too much tit for tat, who will stand? Who will stand? Miss Jade, are you ready? Miss Jade, are you ready? I'm giving you 5 minutes to get yourself camera ready. Let's go. And I'm sure when she comes on now, the girl will be looking fine. I will be looking at, what was it you were complaining about? I understand you, sis. It's going online to the internet. You don't want to be looking raggedy. I respect it. I respect it. And that's a good way of respecting the show, is to care about your appearance. I respect that as well. I'm just also letting you know that this is a laid back vibe. And so you don't have to be too concerned. All right. Jade, are you jumping on or not? Shout out to everybody in the chat still rocking with us. You guys are up and it's past 1 a.m. I love you all for doing Friday Night Vigil with me. For giving me your nighttime, your precious sleep time, your beauty sleep time to shoot the breeze with me. I appreciate that for real. Well, by the way, I had a pretty good appearance on Quarantine Date Nights last night. If you know Judy Love, the comedian, I jumped on her live and we had a good chat, man. It was a good chat. I kind of split the room at the beginning. You know, not a lot of people are ready to hear things that don't sound sweet and nice and fun. And yeah, but I think at the end of it, I made a respectable contribution. I think some people changed their minds. One girl even DM'd me to apologize for swearing at me. I didn't realize she had, but yeah, it was a lot. So go me. All right, Jade, you ready now? Okay then, no worries. You're adding so much pressure to this reveal now. You know, you could just come on as you are, as is. Now it's like, you know, the presentation. I'm sorry, sis, but you know, we need to hear from you right now, man. I want to see this durag though. Come through with the durag, sis. Hey, come on with the front knot as well. You all right? Of course not. It's not to make you look bad. All right, they can't see you yet. We're gonna go live very soon. Okay. All right, we are live.
No, let me take this off.
Hey sis, how are you?
I'm okay. It's been a week. How are you?
I'm good. I really enjoy doing this show. I feel like I'm on an LBC show with video and banter and comments and whatnot. It's actually a lot of fun.
How did you find yesterday?
Yesterday was interesting. You know, like I was touching on just before you jumped on. It was an interesting experience because I'm no stranger to people disagreeing with me. It's a frustrating thing sometimes when you know that the point you're trying to make is nuanced. It requires a bit deeper explanation. But you're in a forum or a format that kind of requires you to get to the point straight away, and deals in very short bursts. And so it's easier in that circumstance to just say, black women are amazing. You know, black women are beautiful. It's a headline. It's great. If you start with like, wait till you know, you've sorted your marriage before you start having kids. You have to start qualifying that. You have to start saying, look, I'm not saying that single mothers aren't worth anything. I'm not saying that blah, blah, blah. It requires a lot more. It's way more nuanced. And unfortunately, I think social media kind of it kind of encourages more bold, brash statements, and really hampers nuanced discussion. But that's just my own hang up in life. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I did try to encourage some of them in the comments. I was like, yeah, just listen, listen to hear and understand his point. Don't get quote unquote triggered by it. And then some, found that encouraging and did that. And because I think it was Kevin, right? He initially disagreed with you, but then he saw the light and then understood where you was coming from and started to agree with you the more that you further explained your points and your perspective. So yeah, I think it was a really great discussion and it was a great way to end her live. So yeah, but I'm good otherwise. There's a lot going on, so I'm just, I suppose, learning to strike a better balance and hopefully go to bed a lot earlier as well.
Oh, look at me keeping you up at 1:15. We're chatting on
I'm
the internet.
out of habit. I've become a night owl. Not too much, but I suppose it's partly as a result of lockdown, because I haven't stuck to my main structures or routines that I have had in place in the past, or they've come looser because
Yeah, that's with
if
all
that
of
makes
us, man.
sense.
Discipline went out the window, man. As soon as they said lockdown, yo, it's been an absolute mess. Let
Maintained
me not lie
it,
to you.
but then I lost it during the second into this lockdown. And now I'm getting it back, if that makes sense. My friend started doing Insanity again on Instagram Live. Yeah, I did it with him the first time all the way to the end, or almost all the way to the end.
As in the whole 60 days or one workout?
I did like 55 or 56 days. I know I cheated on my foot. I know. But I still, sweated and I lost my cheeks were not as chubby as they are now. But in the summer I was looking good, and so he's just finished. Yeah, last week he finished it and he literally just started it again this week. So I've missed the first week because he's like, if he stops, he will lose the momentum, which is what happened to me. And because he's a teacher, so they're gone back to school, innit? They can't work from home anymore. So because of that, he's now doing it at 6:30 in the morning. So I want to be able to get up in the mornings at that time.
Did you say this guy's a friend?
He's a friend.
Is that what you said? You said he's a friend, right?
Yeah.
All right. First of all, which kind of friend gets you doing insanity? Insanity is.
What do you mean?
Insanity is demonic.
Lies.
Yeah.
I did
that workout. I did that workout all the way through once. Yeah. And I did it just so I could say I had completed it.
Okay.
But that thing there is stress. Nobody needs to be that fit. Nobody needs to be that fit. Look here, these buses we're running for, they're not worth it. These trains we're running for, they're not worth it. Nobody needs to be that fit, man. Look, come on. The name of it is insanity. Let's just...
Yes, so you can sweat that weight away and gain muscles.
You know, there's one girl that always has her hair tied up like this. I think maybe she's like part Chinese or somewhere.
Oh, the one that everyone dislikes because she excels in everything.
She just... Oh my goodness. Do you remember? I was so ashamed when the sister came on and then she walked off to take a break in one of the workouts. I was like, sis, you can't do this, man. Nah. Sean T was even like, all right, let's get back into it. Sean T was disappointed. Man, it was painful. I wouldn't even go for the video shoot, man. I show up and hold the camera or something, man. That is stress. Anyway, back on point. With regard to the discussion today about romance.
So I missed some of it.
Okay.
But then, yeah, when I joined, and then my phone died, so I had to charge it, and then I came back on.
No problem.
But yeah, so I caught some of it and some of the gems being spilled. I was agreeing in the comments all the way.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind of missed the beginning and main, like, if it is it asking a question, or is it the case of he was just sharing his views in general?
Okay, so I was asking him, well, the points that I was making, and he was kind of piggyback in and giving his own point of view on it. So I was saying that the nature of romance and romantic gestures and romance within a marriage or relationship is to overpay. It's to say, you are worth this, but I still choose to pay more. You are worth the extra effort. And the only way, I was saying that, essentially, romance is usually described unilaterally from men to women. I asked people to give me the most romantic thing they've ever done, or the most romantic thing ever done for them. I picked the top 3 and I read them out. The top 4, sorry, that I read those out. 3 of them were from women, and they were all about what someone did for them. The one that was from a guy was about what he did for somebody else. So we can see, even with that very tiny sample size, that most of the time when we talk about the gestures of romance, it's from a man to a woman. And usually it's along the lines of, this man has gone to some extra effort to pursue this woman. And I was saying that a lot of my sisters will come to me and say, guys aren't romantic anymore. Where's romance? Romance is dead. And I was saying that there are some ways in which you killed the romance. You kill it by overvaluing yourself, so that even when a guy is being good to you, you don't feel like it's romantic, because you feel like you already deserve it. Like, if you go on social media and you see so and so are getting Birkin bags, and a guy comes and takes you to something way more affordable, you can start to look at him sideways, when actually he's doing a very nice thing for you, but because your attitude is already like, I deserve everything, based on nothing but just your feeling like I deserve it, you can now actually kill your own enjoyment of the things that come your way. What are your thoughts?
That is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is that I suppose some people are used to being shown love in a particular way. So that's one way to look at it. I.e., people or men in their life usually make an effort to buy their love in that regards. And so when they are giving gifts, it's not seen as, I suppose, a thoughtful gesture. It's more of a case of how much you value that person. That's how they receive it. Experiences and how they've previously interacted with other men before in their lives, or how they were brought up. Obviously, everyone has different love language as well. And let's just be clear, not every woman out here is after a Burbeck bag. Okay?
Good.
Like, most of us really don't give a toss. So, like, it's not by force. And so there's something else that you said that I've now forgotten.
The general point that I was making is that if you we need to be correctly valued. You don't need to undervalue yourself. You don't need to overvalue yourself. When you correctly value yourself, you're able to truly appreciate when somebody is doing more for you and is actively trying to pursue you.
Yeah, and I think I've also noticed sometimes we can undervalue ourselves, and then as a result, we don't truly receive or appreciate when people go out their way for us or give us things, because we feel that we don't deserve it.
Yeah, or you start to get the bare minimum and think that this is like real romance. Like, you know,
That too, because you're
yeah,
now settling
yes,
when you
yeah,
weren't taught to, you weren't given a good picture or outlook to see what love is and what it truly, um, you know, embodies. Like, I think it kind of goes back to the point that you guys made earlier, whereby you can be, in terms of modern day terms, financially of low income or low valued individuals based on finances, but based on actual attributes, characteristics that each other has, um, the collective value and also that relationship that you both hold is of high quality compared to the next person that is just focusing on ticking boxes, but they have not really checked themselves and developed themselves and their character and even their own values, if that makes sense. So they're gonna end up, those type of people are likely to end up lonely or looking for love in the wrong places or going about it the wrong way.
I agree.
Which
There's
can
so much.
happen.
There's so much personal inner work that needs to be done, and we usually try and fix it with everybody else. We're trying
Yeah.
like if you don't feel good, you try and like get the people that are gonna make you feel good. You try and get the stuff that will make you feel good, rather than address the real issue that's with you. And the same thing here. It's like, you know, like Michael is saying, so the effort is undervalued and appreciated. You know, they what you're being given
Yeah.
may not actually even change, but the way you look at it and how you receive it can make all the difference. So I gave an example earlier on about how if a wife gets a phone call from her husband during the day, like during the work day, she can choose to take that as, oh, this man really thinks about me, like he really took time out to think about me. Or she can take it as, well, yeah, of course he's supposed to call me, I'm his wife. Is that all? That's all he did? He just called me, that's all, in the middle of the day, man. He's supposed to at least have done this and done that.
Hollered at you,
And-
yeah.
And the same action can fall flat based on a stinky attitude or entitlement or, you know, whatever it is. Whereas humility is more likely going to yield you the results that you want. Not fake humility, but like a genuine humility that says, you know what, I know I don't get everything. I know I don't. I know that for somebody to even take time out to put up with me and go through my stuff, I appreciate them. And if they want to do nice things for me, I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be gracious about it. And I'm going to reciprocate and so on. That's a healthy way to take it. But I see a lot of, you know, shouting about what I deserve. Don't accept less. Some of you can't
It's coming
get
from
more.
a place of hurt. Most of the time. Sometimes it is genuine, yeah, like they've been through something and they've learned they shouldn't have settled, therefore they're trying to find that middle ground without going to the extreme, if that makes sense. Whereas other people, they're being loud, and not just loud, but also it's because they're coming from a place of hurt. And then there's another group of people who are comparing themselves, their journey, as well as what visually their relationships look like from the outside or based on their perspective, and compare it to the Instagram version of relationships. And so I like the whole, okay, I initially found it encouraging, the whole Instagram couples goals, and that in the sense of, yes, you get wedding ideas, or it gives men a chance to be extra creative when proposing, or if being involved more in their own wedding planning, because typically speaking, they usually leave it to the women, or women have
Leave
to
it
jump
to.
in.
Leave it to. Typically, they get told to sit down and get out the way. The woman's
Okay,
been
well,
planning
some
this wedding
it depends on
from.
the type of woman you've married
Yeah,
or
I
look
was
to
very
marry.
active
But
in my wedding, by the way. I was like, I'm involved here.
okay, that's
I
good because some guys really aren't. They're not that proactive at all. They will sit
Yeah.
back and let their mum do half of the things and then let the bride do half the things. They'll just turn up. And when I see that sometimes with my friends, I'm like, well, Gwan, is he really trying to marry you though? Or are you trying to force a situation?
It burns. Oh, it's painful.
Yeah.
It's
So
painful.
there was one incident where that more or less was, that's what I was more or less saying. But there have been things leading up to that point. And so she was in a place ready to receive that in abundance, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I had already more or less opened her eyes to realize, babes, you're forcing the issue.
Ooh. Oh, it's painful. Oh, it's
Like,
painful, man.
yeah. But anyway, so yeah, like I suppose back to my main point. Yes, so some are proactive and some aren't, basically.
Yeah.
I'm not saying most guys who aren't proactive when it comes to wedding planning or being creative in terms of planning their regular dates or date nights or whatever. I'm not saying they're not of value, but I'm saying like the hashtag itself, in my perspective, has depending how you look at it, given extra room for growth for some men, inspiration.
Okay. Yep.
Yes, I can understand the line of argument that it puts pressure on people, both men and women, to meet the now Instagram standards.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to your wedding day or the type of, I don't know, engagement type pictures that you have.
Why have we got a whole production? People are hiring out film crews for the engagement. The ring is being flown in by turtle doves who carrying the wing in their beaks side by side and gently place it on the woman's finger.
And then a
People
nice
are
dance to go with it.
what it's actually becoming more and more ridiculous. And you know, as weddings get more expensive, marriage rates are dropping. And when I say
The cost of your house deposit.
I'm saying successful. Yeah, people are. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you've convinced yourself that I deserve a 40 grand wedding, and you meet a guy who's
I never heard of that until. I never heard of that until. Don't mean to stereotype, but until I started, attending some of my Nigerian friends' weddings. And then I realized, oh.
I was in one of those.
And then I realized, oh,
10.
okay, so
I said I was in one of those weddings
Sorry?
at the age of 10. When my mom got remarried, she spent an obscene amount of money getting remarried, and obviously I was one of the page boys or whatever it is.
Did you buy a house after that too?
They eventually, but like the amount of money they spent, they could definitely have had 2 houses by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was a ridiculous amount of money. But I mean, and that's with no social media. That's with Ovation
that's
magazine.
your culture, isn't it? You invite the whole town, village,
of course,
the friend of a friend of a friend.
There was a magazine at the time called Ovation. That was like the social media. That was like the Instagram for Nigerians. That was where like all the functions that mattered got covered, and people would go and buy the magazine so they could look at the pictures of people's weddings and 40th birthdays and whatnots, that just to see if they showed up or see who was there and the who's who of town and blah blah blah. And I was like, really, you guys are jobless. I'm the kids, but I could sense that, like, I won't say this out loud, but I get the sense that like you people are shameless. You're doing all of this just to impress people. Fast forward a few years and I get social media and I'm doing the exact same thing, man. And it's funny because You know, they have different ways of doing it, but it's the same heart, man. We all just want to look good in front of people. We all want to seem like, you know, we got it all together. And at the very root of it, man, we all falling apart one way or the other, man. We've all got things we need to be working on. But yeah, I feel you on that one. I feel you on the point about, you know, the husbands who are less active and whatnot, and the couple goals, hashtag and so on. I think, you know, the problem is, it's like you're using somebody else's yardstick to measure your life. That's the problem.
Exactly.
So
I say get inspiration from it, but don't compare what you have to that, because not only do you not know the relationship and the nature and the variables behind it, but everyone has a different like budget, a different situation. Also, I really, the smallest wedding I've been to was one literally just before lockdown. It was 50 people and it was in Marrakesh. And it was so intimate but beautiful. Like, they maintained the quality that they wanted by hiring out a villa. And then obviously the guests would stay in nearby hotels. And yeah, it was just beautiful. Like, yes, they were on a budget. To be honest, all weddings are, but they were on more of a budget. But it worked. It worked well. They had some family members there, not everyone. I think they had more friends than family there. Again, that worked for them. I know that, yes, some Nigerian friends that I know, their families will not be having that. And in fact, one of my friends recently got engaged. Her sister quickly and quietly got married, and during lockdown, so like by force, it was a small wedding, you know. So I feel like people are utilizing lockdowns,
of course,
to have that small wedding.
It's wise. You know, with us,
minimal budget, but we'll have the party like later next year, whatever, you know, after we.
Of course. Nah, I respect it, man. When we did ours, basically did 3 weddings. We did the legal one at the registry, we did the church one, and we did the traditional one.
So why didn't you do the church one and the legal one together? Because I grew up whereby they signed the registry at the church.
Yeah, so the law says that you can't. Basically, the church we were going to get married in, we didn't have a strong enough connection to that church or the parish. So you either have to have lived in the parish or attended that church for a certain amount of time, or your parents were born in that parish. Church. No, it's Church of England, I think. We're using a Church of England building. So to sign the registry there, you would need to be connected to that parish. So it's just that's what the law says. Blah blah blah. We're like, fine, all right, we'll do the registry in Croydon, but we wanted this. We had the setup we had was fantastic. It was beautiful. We kept it small.
If we had known each other earlier, I would have hooked you up, because my church that I used to go to, I don't think they would have had that kind of issue.
If I tell you the story of like our wedding venue and so on, you'll know that like I'm good. Like I got too much favor
you got blessing.
From God. Oh, it was
Amen.
The blessing was too much. It was too much. So the way it all worked out was fantastic.
Too much, yeah.
What we did was we told the parents, you get 5 guests each. Now, when you want to do traditional, you run it how you want. You pay for it though, but you could do whatever. run free. We'll show up. We'll wear the clothes, whatever it is. But you guys do as you please. So they had a chance to flex as much as they want to flex for the traditional.
That's good.
But when it comes to this one, you get 5 guests, relax, chill, respect yourself, stay where you are. Don't do too much around.
I love that.
And we kept it to like 120. It was sweet. But I know people take advantage of this lockdown thing, and we need to free ourselves from the bondage of this. Chidima in the comments said that's stressful a lot. Start your marriage with debt. No, sir. Nigerians and
exactly. You could have used that. You could use that debt if you needed to be a deposit for your house. Like that would have been worthy debt being used well. if you needed to
For
be in
real.
debt, you know.
For real, for real. Yo, I can't stress it enough. Um, I do need to start wrapping up at some point because it is actually getting pretty late. But
Yeah.
I just want to read this one comment out from Michael because it caught my eye and it's kind of funny. He said, "I've been told by a woman in the past that she only does dates in Hakkasan when the conversation and intellectual stimulation was KFC." What?
I saw that.
Yo, it's real. It's real. And all of that.
I
to say
actually
that-
dine. I dine in expensive places, not all the time, but
Oh,
that's
sorry,
me.
sis.
No, hold on. Let me
Sorry.
don't assume. Let me just let you know that, like, I can't tell you the last time I had KFC. Actually, it would have been like a good few chunk of years as a takeaway, maybe. But yeah, like I do occasionally go to Nando's before Corona. But yeah, most of the time I go to like average restaurants or like high end, because I have a bucket list. It's not even a bucket list. I just have a list of restaurants that I've seen, some on the Instagram and some in reviews online, that are Michelin star, and some that have just have, in my eyes, good offers where you can just explore and taste a different type of cuisine or something, you know. I can't do, so like a number of, in fact, every birthday that I've had apart from lockdown birthday has usually been in a restaurant in central London for the last decades, thereabouts. Yes. And I think the average
why
bill...
so bougie? Why?
Sorry. Okay.
Why you're going to be? And the second question I want to ask you is, when you went, did you take somebody else and pay for them?
On my birthday, no.
On any of these occasions?
Yes, I paid for my brother once because it was his birthday, but I suppose the range of restaurants that I go to, it could be, I think the average bill or per person roughly was like, I don't know, 30 to like 55 or 60. So it's not too bad, because some of these restaurants on my list are like, okay, actually that's a lie. The most expensive one that I've been to, I think our bill came to shy of 100 each.
Okay.
But that was duck and waffle, and we just,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you decided to enjoy. But my point here is that a lot of sisters set their standard and say, this is what I deserve. Or
Okay,
this is
so
where I
my
but they've
your...
been there and paid for themselves. They now want a guy to take them to that kind of restaurant and pay for both of them. That's twice as much. So it's very easy
I
to
get
take
that.
yourself
I
to
get
a
that.
£60 restaurant. It's a different thing to go and pay £60
I know.
for yourself and £60 for another grown human
I
being.
know. I can do the math, yeah. Chill. My point.
No, but it's not just maths. It's not just maths. Listen to what I said. It's not just £60. £60 for another grown human being who has their own money.
I know.
It's painful. It's painful.
When I go, okay, so when I go out, yeah, whether it's with a male friend or a female friend, yeah, we usually split the bill in it. But on one or two occasions, yes, I've paid for someone else. I think there's been one or two other occasions where my bill's been paid for. So, like, I completely understand where you're coming from, but the initial point I was trying to make was essentially, I suppose when I do go to dates, I just tell the guy, okay, I'm gluten-free, intolerant, so preferably, as long as they have options, I'm good, because I can, if need be, I'll just do the meat and veg situation. Like, I don't mind. Like, I don't want to put pressure on them to kind of, like, select a certain type of restaurant, if that makes sense. So the onus is usually on them to find somewhere and be proactive. Because also I'm looking for someone who is proactive as well. Like, so I appreciate some guys, they just prefer me to tell them where I want to go. And sometimes I do test the waters, but usually I don't really. Like I'll choose somewhere like something that the average person could definitely afford for two people.
And if they
That
if
makes
they
sense.
take you,
I'm very reasonable. I'm not like that example you gave, but my
okay,
point is that I still live a part of that lifestyle in the sense that I will go and wine and dine myself with whatever company I want to keep. Yes, eventually I expect my next partner to kind of do that within the relationship, but I don't expect it from the offset per se.
fair enough. All
And
right, well,
also, it's not about wine and dining. I'm adventurous, so I'm about creating memories and doing different things.
I respect it.
So,
No, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
yeah, I know you can't be mad at me. That would that'd be a crime.
I all I want to get to the root of is
Mm,
at what point
mm.
do you, when somebody's taking you out to eat, do you genuinely believe? Do you genuinely take it with a sense of gratitude and feel like this is a valid romantic gesture?
Yeah, of
Because
course, all the
because
time.
if he takes you to McDonald's, if he takes you to KFC, which you haven't had for years, and you're used to eating at, fine dining restaurants,
It would be Nando's. Nando's would be acceptable.
so Nando's is your level, and then everything above Nando's is like, this is a valid romantic gesture. Anything below Nando's, this is not
Can't
valid.
work. My body is the temple of the Holy Spirit.
Nah.
No, I'm trying to not eat carbs, but at the moment, but only because of lockdown, I started eating bread again, and that it's got gluten in it. So even then, most of the time, I will buy the gluten-free version of, but still, those type of products are full of crap. So if I'm trying to get back onto really looking after myself, like occasionally, yeah, the odds, because I don't have KFC that often. Like if we're out and about, I don't know, we've gone to the movies or we've done something actually fun, whatever, I don't know, gone shooting or something, then yeah, sure, grabbing KFC on the way home, no problem. But it can't be like the main event. we can meet at a cafe for tea or something.
Yeah. What about if a guy cooks for you, like Chidima has just said in a comment?
Yeah, I saw that comment. He's going to someone's house for a first date to be cooked for. That will give the wrong impression in my eyes.
Okay.
And to like, unless it was like a really good friend, I mean, for okay, let's explore this because clearly we like each other or whatever, then maybe I would allow that. But if it's someone I've randomly met on the street or online that I've never met in person and don't generally feel safe around yet, I need to be wise.
What if the friends like, come over, we'll do insanity first, then I'll cook for you?
Well, that's what my actual friends do anyways. Like, okay, so the caliber of my friends, okay, the caliber of the friends that I have, yes, they cook for me sometimes, and sometimes I cook for them. So yeah, like, but obviously, I suppose whoever I date next, I will slightly be comparing them to my friends in a small way, which I know is bad. So this is why I'm not dating at the moment. But yeah, like, not fully comparing them. It'll be more of a case of, preferably, I think I would want someone to have the ability to cook, even if it's just 5 different dishes. Like, that is my preference. You get me? And that way, the onus to cook is not always on me.
Fair enough. Sis, I'm gonna wrap this up, man. It's getting mad late. It's been good talking to you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Get yourself some rest. You need to start going to bed early, like you already said.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to bed now. I can't even wash my hair.
Don't worry, there's always Saturday morning, man. Come on, man, it's lockdown. You ain't even going nowhere, bro. You ain't even going nowhere till next month. So relax. Take your time.
Well, I don't know about that. I do.
All right. It's a pleasure as always, man. God
Take
bless.
care. Bye.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, it's still late, but. That's it. No more calls. I am wrapping up. It's been a vibe. As always, love talking to you. Love hearing your opinions. All right. Once again, this is Ina Moore with Lay Back. It's been a vibe today discussing romance with you guys. Thank you, Jade. Thank you, Osas, for jumping on. Thank you, Chidima, for being the comment section MVP. Thank you to everybody that jumped over from Instagram. Thank you for the people that even stayed on the Instagram.
Time, we can take that, lay back, or we can take two.
People really stuck it out, man. It's been a proper long session, and you guys are really here, man.
Be mature and resist. Nah, really
God
sweet.
bless you,
I only
Chidima.
speak truth. They call me Miss More time, cause it's true. I miss the old days.
Shout out to all the people that are respecting my
anything. That's the key. Let it all
my
flow,
sound effects.
Let it all fly. Don't follow fashion, follow your passions and sides. Sing it, girl. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel lost in this mission called life.
Shout out to everybody loving my sound effects right now. God forbid. God forbid. What? Yo, it's a vibe. It's been fun. God bless you, Michael. God bless you for all the people with the encouragement.
Clothed in nothing but at least dishonest. Who can say that? They vow to be true. This is real. Being real's what we do. I do this even when it's ugly. And yeah, sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes I'm weird. Sometimes I wanna shut it out and not care. And sometimes I wanna disappear. And sometimes I wish I could appear on a cloud. And sometimes I wish I weren't around. And yo, sometimes
I feel lost in this mission called life. Yeah. And I know sometimes I ain't living right. But it's alright. It's alright. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay back. Sometimes I've gotta lay back.
All right. It really is good night. Stay blessed. I'll see you all next week for a Friday night vigil.